Welcome, 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 my divine spirits, back to Traumapathic Root Healing. It is now 2024. Can you believe how fast 2023 has flown by? It is ridiculous. And there's so many crazy things that's already happened within the first 2 days. Oh my gosh, I stay away from the news. It's too many stressful things that's been going on already. And it's a lot of stress we need to release. It's a lot of things that we went through last year that we definitely need to get off our shoulders. So that's what I'm here to help you guys do. My name is Jasmine Savage. I am a 16-year licensed healthcare professional and a psychology major. And I am here to teach you about trauma release. Okay, so Traumapathic Root Healing is about releasing trauma, finding the root of the trauma in a naturopathic way. Okay, so we're taking naturopathic ideology and medicine, and we're taking trauma healing and we're putting that together and we're making traumapathic root healing. All right, so today, like I told you in previous videos, I told you guys that I'll be talking about the amygdala gland. So if you don't know what the amygdala gland is, that is the alarm center for fear. Okay, so that is where all your traumatic experiences, your traumatic fears and feelings and emotions are all stored during that emotional response, that during that traumatic experience. Okay, the amygdala gland is a small almond-shaped cluster of nuclei that's located deep within the brain's temporal lobe, and it plays a crucial role in processing emotions, particularly fear, in the formation of emotional memory. When it comes to the amygdala gland, it's involved in various aspects of emotional and social behavior. It is an essential component of the brain's limbic system, which is responsible for regulating emotions in certain aspects of memory. Okay, if that makes sense. I know that was a mouthful, okay? But the amygdala gland is the key component of where your emotional fears and your trauma lies. It's the alarm system, like I said, so it alerts your brain to go into the fight or flight response. Okay, and I'm gonna explain a little bit more about that. Okay, remember whenever I was telling you all about the vagus nerve and how it's the longest nerve within the body? It's connected to all the various organs in the body, like the stomach, the kidneys, the liver, the spleen, the heart, the lungs, all of those different various organs in the body. Is one of the 12 cranial nerves in the human body. Okay, so the vagus nerve is a key component of the parasympathetic nervous system, so it's responsible for regulating many involuntary bodily functions. I've said this in many videos. It plays a role in controlling heart rate, digestion, respiratory rate, and various other processes related to relaxation and recovery. Okay, and additionally, the vagus nerve is also involved in communication between the brain and the gut. And this is often referred to as the gut-brain connection, okay? It can influence emotions in various aspects of your health. So we're going to talk about cortisol. So this is often referred to as the stress hormone, and it's released in response to stress. When you experience stress, whether it's due to physical threat or psychological stressors, your body's fight or flight response is triggered. So this response involves the release of various hormones, and this includes cortisol, to help your body cope with the stressor. So there's a few ways of how cortisol is released during stress and how it works, and I want to explain that. So number one, there is a perception of stress. When the brain perceives the stressor, it sends a signal to the hypothalamus, a region in the brain, to activate the stress response. Number two, there's a hypothalamus signaling the pituitary gland. So when the hypothalamus signals the pituitary gland to release the hormone called ACT, or the adrenocorticotropic hormone, I know that's a mouthful, adrenocorticotropic hormone. So this stimulates the adrenal gland. When the ACTH travels through the bloodstream and reaches the adrenal glands, which are located on the top of each of your kidneys, okay? So it stimulates the adrenal glands to produce and release cortisol. So the next thing is, when cortisol is then released into the bloodstream, it has several effects on the body. Okay, so this is including increasing the blood sugar levels, providing an immediate source of energy, a burst of energy, and suppressing non-essential functions like digestion and immune system. So you're not worried about sneezing, coughing, all that stuff like that. And then there's the stress response. The elevated cortisol levels prepare the body to respond to the stressor, whether it's fighting, fleeing, or coping, going into your disassociation with that situation. Once the stressor is then resolved, the cortisol levels typically return to normal. However, chronic stress can lead to prolonged or elevated cortisol levels, which can have a negative health effect. Okay, so it's important to manage stress and maintain a healthy balance of cortisol in the body. Okay, so I just want you all to remember that you have to be able to manage your stress so you won't get those elevated cortisol levels and you're not sending all of these crazy signals to the brain to stay in this survival mode, stay in that fight or flight response. So I know it was all jumbled up, but I wanted to just, talk to you more about how the amygdala gland is the key component of how your brain is processing these emotions and these traumatic experiences, okay, these situations. So whenever that alarm system is alerted, that's whenever everything takes over, your body goes into like autopilot, and all of these different things are happening within the brain, trying to figure out how can I regulate, because all of these different things are happening, all of these different sensations. I don't like what's going on. I want to get up and leave. I don't know what to do. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? So it's building up all of this anxiety, building up all of this tension in the body. And so when it comes to the amygdala gland and the vagus nerve, resetting these things are very important. So like I told you in previous videos, right here behind the ear, it's right on the brain stem by the medulla oblongata. Okay, so I know everybody thinks that's a funny word, but it's a real thing. And it's right by the brainstem. It's really long. It's a long nerve. So it goes to all the different various organs of the brain, just like when it comes to the lymphatic system, how the lymphatic system is connected to all the different nerve endings in the body, all over the body. We'll talk more about the brain-gut connection and how the lymphatic system plays into that too. But I want to talk about the amygdala gland and how the vagus nerve is connected to that as well. They're all within that same area, okay, of the brain. And I want to show you all that too. So just give me a second and I'll show you what I'm talking about, okay? All right, everybody. So like I said, I wanted to explain what the amygdala gland is. If you see here, the amygdala gland is the alarm system, is the alarm center for fear. Okay, so if you see here, this is the amygdala gland. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. All right. You see here, this is the amygdala gland. It, like I told you, it is a small almond-shaped cluster of nuclei that's lying deep within the temporal lobe, and it plays a crucial role in processing emotions, particularly fear. Okay, so if you look at this right here, number one, it says here, the brain regularly scans the real and perceived threats. Okay, so information is filtered through the limbic system, where we instinctively react with fight or flight or freeze. Okay, and then we travel over to here, number two, when a threat is perceived. The amygdala alerts the hypothalamus to release stress hormones, and remember I said the stress hormones, the cortisol. Okay, so that is the stress hormone that we're talking about. But it releases various hormones, but cortisol is the main hormone that is released in the response to trauma or fear. Okay, so, and this alarms the sympathetic nervous system to fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, so after that, we go here. All right, so now we have the reaction to the fight or flight or freeze response. So fear, frustration, and heartache influences the mind, resulting in unrelated decision choices and reactions. All right. And then we have prior childhood and adult trauma increases the brain-body response. With prior trauma, the parasympathetic nervous system is automatically activated, resulting in numbing or disassociation. I said that in the video earlier when I said that you start to disassociate. So you find a way to cope with what's going on, and you go into the disassociated state, and you're just trying to block out what's going on. All of those things are stored in the amygdala gland. Okay, so it is all stored within that small cluster of nuclei. Is the key component to how we function in the world and how we perceive the world, how we perceive fear and things like that, how we're able to cope with those things, and how we're able to receive them. I just wanted to show you this model of the brain so you can better understand where the amygdala gland is. I want to also show you again the vagus nerve so you won't be lost about what I was saying when it came to the vagus nerve. Okay? All right. So like I was telling you in a prior video, the vagus nerve is one of the longest nerves within the body. The vagus nerve is connected to the brain that goes all the way to the various organs, all of the vital organs within the body. It's connected to the pharyngeal branch, the laryngeal branches. So that is your voice box. That's your larynx. It's connected to the lungs. It's connected to the cardiac branch. So that's connected to the heart, the pulmonary plexus. So it's going to the vital organs of your heart, your esophagus, your spleen, your liver. It's going to your stomach. It's going to your colon, your small intestine, and large intestines. Also your kidneys as well. And it plays a key role in how you are experiencing stress. And whenever I was saying that when you're experiencing stress, it shuts down the immune system and different things like the digestive system. So all of this stuff to stop once you're going into that fight or flight response, and those high levels of cortisol are being released in the body. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little bit more of an explanation on that. And if you have any questions, I definitely would love to hear your questions in the comments. I would love to give you more of an insight with understanding what the vagus nerve, the amygdala gland, and how it's all related to trauma, and trying to find ways and techniques to better regulate your nervous system and those different responses that you're having. Okay, so I also want to talk about a few other things, like whenever you're going through your trauma responses, sometimes you don't even realize that you have a lot of these things that you carry with you. Like one of my trauma responses that I had was holding my breath. I would catch myself always holding my breath, and I didn't know that I was doing it until I took a deep breath, and I was like, man, why do I always do that? That is a fear response. That is a trauma response that I have. The tapping of the legs, whenever people bite their fingers, things like that. You're picking at something. Maybe you're trying to make yourself invisible by fidgeting with a certain object because you're trying to cope with those different things. You don't know how to cope with those things. You don't want people to ask you questions. You don't want to deal with all of the overwhelming feelings that you have with having these trauma responses. So I just wanted to ask you, what kind of triggers or types of trauma responses do you notice that you have whenever you're in certain situations, or maybe you're getting some anxiety, maybe some stage fright, or you have some social anxiety going on? What kind of triggers or what kind of things do you see, or behaviors do you display whenever you're going through these things? I would love to know what you do to alleviate those things. How do you help yourself cope with those different stressors and the different responses that you're noticing that you're having to these types of stressors? So I really would love to know what you guys think in the comments below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because this is a new channel. I am putting myself out there for you guys and giving my knowledge and my skills. Once again, my name is Jasmine. I am a 16-year licensed healthcare professional and a psychology major. And I definitely am so excited for 2024 and what it has to bring, all of the abundance and prosperity and the joy that is to come, the success that we're all going to have, and we're going to be releasing all of the negativity and everything that came with 2023. We're leaving it back in 2023. We're not going backwards, guys. We're definitely moving forward. We're taking the first steps right now by being here with me right now. You're taking the steps to wanting to start your journey to healing your trauma, and I definitely would love to be your coach and your guide on that journey. Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe once again, and thanks for joining me at Traumapathic Root Healings with Jasmine Savage, and Ashe, 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 guys.